Well, good morning everyone. Richard Ford here, coming to you from Nova Scotia, Canada. It's March 2021 and today I want to talk to you a little bit and introduce a video about finishing. This has been a really long road for me. Finishing has always been a bit of a mystery, never really knowing what was in the can, what was on your hands. Should you be wearing gloves? Should you be wearing a mask? Should it be sprayed? Should it be painted? Should it be rubbed in? And the final product, was it really safe to give to your children, your grandchildren, friends and family? Well, it's taken me a long time, but I think I'm finally there. And I think I have one finish, which I've known about for a long, long time, but I was busy developing other friction type polishes and things and abrasive paste and what have you over the last number of years. But finally it has come together, and so I wanted to put together this video to help everybody have a way, if they wanted to duplicate this, to have a way that they can apply a safe, food safe, non-toxic, shiny, super shiny finish, high gloss, if they want to, and the amount of gloss is under your control. You decide how much gloss you want. So that's what I'm going to do in this little video, and just so you know what it is about. It's about this product here, Tried and True. I have no affiliation with them, but I have known about the product. I bought this can 20 years ago, and this is their Danish oil. This is their original finish, both completely food safe, wonderful finishes. And if you go to their website, Tried and True website, you'll find all the information you ever want, ways of applying it, instruction, videos, frequently asked questions. Every question you could ever think of is answered about the product. And I have sort of reached a point with it where I'm able to get a very nice finish, whatever kind of finish I want, really. It's quick, simple, safe, and the end product is something I feel very comfortable giving to anyone in my family or friends, as a salad bowl, as a cereal bowl, as a toy, as anything that you make, a pepper mill. This finish, I believe, and I'm not a chemist, so I'm not able to test and prove these things, but I'm going by what's on the internet, what's on the can, what others have said about this product. And it has made finishing a pleasure for me. That is the big thing I noticed, that finishing the product, whereas that used to be the point, you've turned a really nice surface, you've sanded its lovely finish, now you're going to put something on it. And my father, who was the first person to teach me a little bit about wood turning, always used beeswax. That's all he used, beeswax. He knew it was safe, he knew it was easy to use, and unfortunately I didn't remember that. But now with this finish, and I'm going to show you the method from start to finish. Now it becomes a long video, it's just over an hour, but you can jump ahead to the pieces that you're interested in, but you might want to see the whole thing. Now you do see me apply the finish, first the outside of a bowl, then the inside, and then the bottom. So it's the same method for all of those. So if you understand the method, just seeing one of them, you understand it for all of them. And I'm going to try it also on smaller items like pens and things like that, because I'm very impressed with this finish. The last 3 months I've been using this finish, and just show you a couple of examples. Here's one bowl that I use the finish on. This is a spalted maple bowl, beautiful piece of wood. Then I made a little bowl didn't believe, that the finish was working so well. And, well, yes, it is working well. Look at that lovely shine and finish. Okay. And then I had this cherry burl. Wow. Look at that. Some little inlays in there. And I started to become quite excited by this finish, which is food safe. Safe when you're putting it on, to have your hands in it, to rub it with your hands. Lovely. And the next piece, I knew I had something. When I got this piece and got the kind of finish that I have here on it, I knew I really had something that I was very happy about. A way to finish my work safely, to really enjoy the finishing. That was the big difference. And here's the one that I do in the video. This is the one I'm going to show you step by step how I achieve this finish. So, it's an old finish that's been around for a long time. I believe it started about 30 years ago, and I believe it was sort of derived from what the Shakers used to do. So that's my little intro. We'll go over now and start the video, and I'll show you how I do it.
Safety. It's a big thing in the workshop. If you don't feel safe doing something, or you just don't feel comfortable, don't do it. You're the only person who can keep you safe. And if you don't do it, no one else can.
It's a nice little... Well, all finishing starts with the turned surface. Here I have a little bowl, a little piece of maple, and I just turned it. I'm just at the point now of starting to do some sanding. I use Abernet little sanding disc, and usually start around 120. There, sanded through to 400. Now we'll apply some tried and true original finish. I think I'm going to have to put a little bit more in my jar. It's getting pretty low, but we'll give it a shot. It doesn't take much. And here we just put it on by hand, a little thin coat. Tried and true original is a finish that has been around a long time. It's just in my search for food safe that I've sort of come across it again. And the products that are in it are pulverized linseed oil and beeswax. Now, the company, Tried and True, state that there are no chemicals added. It is a pure linseed oil that is pulverized, and that means it has been heated up for a period of time to about 300 degrees or so in an oxygen-free environment. So it's not something you can duplicate yourself at home. It's not a cheap finish, but it sure doesn't take much. It goes. You put it on very thin, and just keep sort of. I just keep sort of wiping it in for a minute or so, just to force it into the grain, so that it gets a chance to anchor down into the grain there. Yeah. Yeah, it didn't take very much, did it? So now we let that rest for a minute or two. So it is a food safe product, and they advertise it as such, state that it is food safe, and I have no problems getting it on my hands. Now, for years I used double boiled linseed oil in my finishing and thought that it was a safe product. And the problem is you don't know. Unless the company that's selling it tells you what's in it and states that it is food safe and there is no toxic ingredients in it, you don't know. And almost everything you look into, you actually can find questionable procedures and things that are happening in the manufacturing of these products. Now, everyone will tell you that once the volatile chemicals have gassed off, all finishes are food safe. Well, that may be true, but I want a food safe finish that is food safe when it's in its wet state and when it's in its cured and dry state. Tried and True seems to do that, and I've been experimenting with it for a little while now to try and find a way to apply it that is acceptable, be acceptable to most people. And look at that finish there. I've just been pushing that in with my bare hands, and I am seeing little scratch marks here and there which are not acceptable to me. They're going to have to be sanded some more. So my next part of this process, after putting on the Tried and True, is to put on an abrasive paste, and we'll see if that will get through the scratches and get the surface to an acceptable finish. So this is my own Nova Silk that I use, and this is a mixture that I make myself in a double boiler. I take Vaseline and pumice, F2 pumice powder. I take 5 parts of Vaseline to 1 part pumice by weight. So if I have 100 grams of Vaseline, I put in 20 grams of pumice, and in a double boiler I'll melt those together, stir them, and then while it's cooling I'll keep stirring because I don't want the pumice to settle out and end up at the bottom. So it's as simple as that. I used to use, it's relatively new, I used to use the same as everyone else does, mineral oil and beeswax and pumice or some other abrasive material. And there are many videos out there on the internet showing you how to make it. I have just simplified it a little bit more, I think. It seems easier to make by using Vaseline. So I just apply some all over the surface, like that, and I try and use the same little piece of paper towel. I wonder what that noise is. Yeah, I'm using the same little piece of paper towel, so I'm giving the abrasive paste a chance to work here. It's working itself away to nothing. Oh, it gets quite hot at times too. And I think that's a good thing, a little bit of heat in there. That'll help the Tried and True go into the wood a little bit more and help it to start to cure. So we're only running at 750 here, not a great speed. Go a little faster, 980 around 1,000. Just a little ball, 8-inch diameter, something like that. So by using one piece of the paper towel, I'm giving the Nova Silk, the abrasive paste, an opportunity to work itself smaller and smaller and finer and do its job. Now I start to fold the paper towel and it starts to remove the last of the abrasive paste. Have a look, see how that looks. See if we can see those little scratches. So great to have a finish that you're not afraid to put your hands into like this. I think we've got through them okay there. So, time for a fresh piece of paper towel. No expense is spared, eh? Oh dear, dear. Okay. Still getting some coming off on the paper towel. Yes, those little scratches that were there seem to have gone now. Yeah, so the abrasive paste has done its job, smoothed that surface, filled in any little voids. Yes, it's starting to look nice. Okay, put the Nova Silk away. Up with the speed. Some nice soft chips, wood chips. Varnish that surface. It's starting to look nice, isn't it? And clean piece of paper towel. There. I can just see some little tiny scratches there. So now is the time to do any repairs that you have to. Any repairs to the surface to get it to the surface that you want it to be. So we ended up at 400. We can go to 600 here. I can find those scratches again. There they are. Some of them anyway. Now I use Abernet. You can blow out the Abernet and kind of refresh it. We're 470. 500 to 700 would be optimal, I think, for sanding something this size. Now I'm getting finish come off with the sanding. That's fine. Yeah, look, see, it's got quite plugged here. We'll deblock it. Okay, now I'm looking for any little marks or scratches. You need a good light, you know, to help you find anything like that. And we'll do some orbital sanding with the 600. If you find anything or not. So finishing for me, this is a very pleasant process. Now that I'm using the original tried and true, I find this very pleasant. Now whether if I hadn't seen any little marks that needed fixing, I would go to the next step just the same as we're going to do now, and that's to put another coating of tried and true right on now. And I'm really going to have to put some more in here. This is the dregs. It's a beautiful finish. When I started using it, I didn't like it. I thought it's too thick. Didn't feel right. I wanted something thin that would soak in, but this stuff is wonderful. It really does do a good job, and I can't say enough good things about this original tried and true. It's a beautiful finish. I always think of my father when I'm rubbing this in. He used to use French polish, and making furniture he would spend hours rubbing it in with a little pad, you know, little French polishing pad. And I often think of him when I'm doing this. It's sort of a pleasant thing to do. Doesn't take a lot of time. You're just making sure you have a nice thin coat on everything. Look at that now. And this is an opportunity to check too. You check your surface while you're doing this. Is it just as you want it? Or does it need a little more sanding? If it does, wipe this off and sand it again. And this is looking pretty good. Don't see any problems here. Yeah. There. I really am going to have to put some more in this little jar. There now. Had it set for a minute or two. Okay. Yeah, looking good. We'll burnish that off with the wood chips again. So I just have some nice wood chips here. You could use steel wool for doing the burnishing here if you wanted. I like the wood chips. It's, you know, seems more natural to me. And they're free. I'm cheap. Yeah, they do a good job. And dry piece of paper towel. And we're up to speed. Get ourselves 1500 or so here. Give it a nice polish. There, look at that. Lovely finish. Now I'm going to do the inside, turn the inside, and do the same thing to it. But this is the point at which I take it into the house, and I'll let it cure for a minimum of 24 hours, maybe 2 days. And then I'll buff it with the Bio-type buffing system. And that's how you get the finish that I showed you when we started here. But already this is a beautiful finish. And it's food safe. Like if you were making a little cereal bowl or bowl to be used like that, this is it, you're there. And later on, if it needs retouching up, you just put a little more on. The tried and true original is easy to apply again. Don't need a lathe, you can just wipe it on, wipe it in with your hands, nice. And I always seem to end up doing this bit. Now I don't know if it's essential for the process, but it gives me a chance to feel the surface. If there's any little imperfections, I'll find them and I'll give it a good look over. And softens up my hands too, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, gives you a good chance to look at it. Is there anything on it anywhere that needs? Now this is ready for the bio buffing process on the outside here. Okay, so now we'll put it back in the chuck. Switch to the bottom of the bowl. I just thought I'd mention that there's very few jobs I finished today, turning jobs, without using my little finishing and smoothing scraper. Beautiful. Okay. So now we're ready, just as we were at the start of this on the outside, to sand the inside. We'll start with the 120. Abernet. Speed down to 750. Well, here we are. The next day, things happen. Life interferes with time in the shop. So we're applying some tried and true original with my little pad. Oh, I like to wipe it right in, push it into the grain, into the pores. Too much in my little jar. Okay, we'll let that set for a minute. I'm going to tip some of that back in the can. Yeah. Very thick stuff, look. Yeah, that's lots. Boy, that's good for 10 bowls in there. Pretty nice looking. Yeah, I think we're ready now for the Nova Silk. And it doesn't take much of this stuff. A little bit on my finger. Put that on the paper towel. You can feel this, it's sort of gritty. Just a little dab more on the edge here. Yeah. And about 350. Now remember, there's linseed oil on the rags and napkins, so dispose of them properly. They do instantaneously combust. I've had it happen in my shop here. I was lucky. But I sometimes think, you know, if that had happened in my basement of my house, I would have probably lost my house. And if it had happened at night, who knows, if we'd gone to bed, you'd have lost your life too. So dispose of the rags properly. It's just not worth the hassle. I always take them out and burn them in a little chimney. Have a look how that was looking. Yeah, it's not half bad, I guess, eh? Don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, I think you probably can in the camera. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Alright, so that's one coat and a coat of Nova Silk. So now we'll apply a second coat of tried and true original. That's too much. You only need a little tiny bit of this stuff. Wipe off what I can back in the can. What a great finish, eh? Look, I think I said earlier on when I was doing the outside that in the beginning I thought it was too thick, but I've learned that it's just right. You can rub it in like this and smooth it out, and it gets better and better. And we're adding coats, you know. I know the company say they only recommend a maximum of 3 coats, but it's hard to resist, you know, putting another coat on. There's only 2 really on the inside here, but I've got 3 on the outside now, 3 or 4 in some places probably, and it works. Probably rub it right in the grain, right in the pores. Yeah. Sometimes before I start putting this on, I blow out with the airline, blow any little dust out of the pores. It's a good thing, I think. That's a good practice to have, so that there's no little bits of wood dust down in the pores. It's all finish. Not too bad at the end. Let that sit for a minute or 2, just to help it, let it soak in and bond to the layer underneath it. It's a joy to behold. Yeah. I never checked. Should have checked too. Oh yeah, the jaws are tight. Never loosened up overnight. Well, this piece of wood, you know, I bought a pile of ash slabs cut like this was in the beginning, from a gentleman who was giving up wood turning and was getting rid of his wood and selling his house and everything. And I missed the best stuff. Unfortunately, he had some really nice stuff. But anyway, this, as it's turned out, has been really good, is to have these slabs of ash that I bought from him. And he had dates on them at the time, and they had been drying in his shed for 15 years, 10 to 15 years when I bought them. And that was 10, 12 years ago now. So this is really dry. There's no question that this is dry. Yeah. But it's such beautiful stuff. And we'll burnish it a little bit with these nice soft shavings. Pick it up at 1800. if you want a nice finish, it takes a little work. Now, for those who don't want too shiny a finish, you can stop here. This would be lovely to eat your salad out of. Nice little salad bowl. Beautiful. I wouldn't have any trouble using that. I have to take the bottom off, and then I'll finish that the same way. But if you really want it shiny, then you have to come back and buff it. And I will come back and buff this after a couple of days in the house. Like I say, I like to leave it for a couple of days to cure, and I like a shiny finish. So I will buff it with my Bill buffing type system, 3 mops, with the Triple E and the White Diamond and Carnauba wax. Of course, I have to give it the palm, the rub. I like to rub the surface at this point. It's beautiful, and it gives me a chance to really put it under the light and look for any little blemishes or scratches or anything at all. Not finding anything. It's perfect. Of course, I would say that, wouldn't I? You really need somebody else's eye to look at it. Someone with a critical eye. Yeah, but I don't think they'd find anything. Nothing much anyway. Nothing I'd be ashamed of. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Well, I'm going to take off the bottom now. And to do that, it means I can take it off level here, leave a bottom that's quite a large bottom, a functional bottom, and take all this off, and I'll have about, or maybe 5/16, 3/8 in the middle. Almost as if I planned it, you know. Okay. Well, I think we'll put a vacuum on it and move the tailstock away now. Maybe start at 240. Pretty little bowl. Now, as I say, for you guys who don't want a really gloss finish, you can stop here. Just let it cure. Minimum 24 hours, I would say. But for those of you who'd like to take it to the next level, I would set it in the house, a nice warm environment, wherever you keep your bowls to cure, knowing that it's perfectly food safe. Put it in the house, in the warm, let it cure. I'd leave it a couple of days, one is enough, I think, but what does it hurt? So I'll put this in the house, and after a couple of days I'll bring it back out and I'll buff it, and I'll show you the buffing, and you can see the difference between this finish that it is now and when it's buffed, which is the one we started out with yesterday, and I showed you that platter that had been buffed. So there, food safe, easy to put on, safe to put on, no worries at all, no fumes, no solvents, no anything like that. Tried and true original finish. That's it. They have tried and true Danish oil too, which is just the pulverized linseed oil with nothing else, just pulverized linseed oil so that it will dry. And you know, I make a 2-minute finish. I'm going to make that finish in the future using the tried and true Danish oil, which is just pure linseed that's been pulverized, no solvents added. So, great products, great finish. You gotta like it. Okay, well, can't say any more about it, guys. You be the judge. Yep, that's it. Okay, well, we're back in the shop again, and it's the next day. This has been, I took this in the house yesterday, and it's been sitting in the house, sitting in the window with the sun shining on it some of the time. So it did warm up a little bit with the sun shining on it. And it's a beautiful bowl, there's no question about it. It's quite usable as it is. And for those, I know there are some turners who don't like to have too shiny a finish on their work. This would be quite suitable, I guess, for them. I like shiny bowls though, so I usually go to this last step here of buffing the bowl on my homegrown set of mops. I have 3 of them, 3 different mops, just like in the Beal buffing system, only mine are a little more fluffy and a little more, you can see that the bolt that holds this together is way down in the middle, so there's no way if I was to hold this bowl on the end that it could ever get scratched or anything. For those turners who watch my videos, you'll know I like to use this buffing table here. It helps support my hands and my arms so that when you're buffing, you don't want this edge to catch in the wheel, because it will tear this out of your hands. So I find that by resting my arms and my hands on my buffing table, I can buff very comfortably. Now, this first product is the Tripoli. We'll put some on the wheel. This is the workhorse of the products. probably start to see already that there's definitely a gloss, shine, depth of shine coming to the part already. So it's an abrasive, it will smooth the surface. So there's the first product, and okay. And the second wheel, and I have two little marks in the wheel, so I know it's the second wheel. Should my writing ever wear off it. On the second wheel, we use white diamond. Speed it up back to about 1,000. Now this is an abrasive as well, it's just a little finer than the Triple E. So that's, I think you'll see that it's just got a little bit shinier. The finish that you're seeing is the polished, tried and true original. It's just been polished at this point. But now when we go to the next wheel, we're going to apply carnauba wax, which gives it a little more protection. Carnauba wax is a hard wax, one of the hardest waxes, I believe. It's harder than beeswax, and again, I adjust the speed for that surface tension. You adjust it to suit yourself. And we'll put a little carnauba wax on. You don't need too much of this stuff, because if it gets too thick, it kind of smears a little bit, so it can't. Well, then you'd have to go back to buff it off with the Triple E and white diamond if it got too thick. So that's with the carnauba wax on it. Now you saw how quick that was to buff this up. So if in a year or 2 or 3 you need to refinish it, you could go, depending on how badly it's degraded. Really, the first bowl I ever made was with my father, and really it was my father who made the bowl. He was just getting me to make some of the cuts and showing me how to do it, but he really did most of the work. My father kept bees, and all he ever put on his bowls was beeswax. And I had that bowl today, and it's still as good as when we made it. It hasn't been used to put anything. I just put knickknacks in it, store little things in it. I don't use it in a wearing sort of fashion, but to finish this bowl, all you would have to do would be to go through the process we've been through here. If it was just a question of going through the buffing, we could go through the buffing easily again. Or if you even had to go back further than that and sand a little and put the tried and true and maybe even the Nova Silk and go through the process, you can refinish the bowl anytime you like. Now there it is. It's a beautiful bowl. Finishing. It's a kind of mystery, finishing. One of those things that isn't spoken about a lot, isn't demonstrated a lot. And over the past few years, I've found it's one of the biggest mysteries to me, finishing. And I wanted to come up with a way that was straightforward, simple, that I could finish anything with. I haven't done it yet, but I will make one more little video, and I'm going to make a pen and show this same finishing on a pen, because I believe it will be just as good. And if it is, that means I've got one finish, or any of us have got one finish that we can put on anything, and it's food safe and it's gorgeous. So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, just send them to me. I'm going to show you now a couple of pictures, if I can do this in my editor, of this bowl before we buffed it, and then at each stage through it. I'll just put a title on it, so you can see which stage it is. Just see if we can... it's very hard to look at this now and remember what it was like before you buffed it. So we'll try that to see how it works out. And it's a beautiful bowl, there's no question about it. It's quite usable as it is. You'll see that it's just got a little bit shinier. So there, that's with the Canuba wax on it. But there it is, guys. How simple can it be? Just takes time. Any good finishing takes time. So you have to be prepared to put the time in, but it's pleasant time. It's time in your shop. When the worries of the world disappear and it's just you and your finishing. All the products I've used on this in this video are food safe. I've really only used two things. That's tried and true, original finish, original wood finish. It's made from renewable ingredients, 100% safe for food contact surfaces. The products that are in it are only, it says some more stuff here. Superior blend of polymerized linseed oil and beeswax. So it's for all woodworking. It's the original wood finish. Food contact and environment safe. Zero volatile organic components. Safe for skin contact. No heavy metals. Safe for skin contact. I love it. Tells you to apply a thin coat. Tells you how to apply it. That's not the method I showed you that I used, but it's another method, or alternate method, more for furniture I think than anything. I am not affiliated in any way, shape or form with Tried and True. It's purely my opinion. I'm not a chemist. I only go by what I read on the can and what I've seen on the internet. But I think it's a wonderful finish. They make a few others. They also make Tried and True Danish oil finish. And same thing again, non-toxic, safe for the environment, safe to use. No petroleum distillates, no petroleum derivatives, no heavy metals. It's polymerized linseed oil, and that's all it is. There's no beeswax in this. It's just pure linseed oil that's been polymerized. And polymerized, as I understand it, is a heat treating process with no oxygen that starts the drying process, starts the polymerization. This I will use to manufacture my 2-minute finish. I'm not sure at this point whether I will need my 2-minute finish ever again, because this finish is plenty shiny and it's a lovely finish. So this on its own is probably going to be my one go-to finish. Now I will use shellac to seal punky wood or kind of rotted wood, punky wood, well that's what it is, Spalding, that kind of thing. I will use that, and so my 2-minute finish is only equal quantities of, say, a 2-pound cut of shellac and Danish oil, the same quantities of each. So I probably will have some because it's such a quick and nice finish to use. Again, I will make it from alcohol, ethyl alcohol, the shellac. So that it will be homemade shellac that is, again, food safe, safe for your hands, safe to breathe the fumes, and it will be food safe finish, very much like this one is. But I'm not sure I'm going to need it because I think this one will do it all. I'm going to try it later on a pen, a couple of small pieces maybe. Maybe make another little video to show you, just to kind of show how it works in that environment. But I can't for the life of me think why it wouldn't work just the same as I've applied it here. Now, the only other product I used was the Nova Silk. I make the Nova Silk myself. I make 2 products like this. One is for wood and one is for plastics, for acrylics. The one that is for wood, I use, there are hundreds of videos out there on the internet about people making abrasive pastes, and they all do it the same way pretty well, in a double boiler, and they have mineral oil, beeswax and some kind of pumice that they mix together, various quantities. I use Vaseline and pumice. In a double boiler, I'll melt the Vaseline and I'll put in the pumice, and it's on a ratio of 5 parts Vaseline to 1 part pumice. It's 2F grade pumice. 5 to 1 ratio. So that's 5 parts Vaseline, 1 part pumice by weight. If I have 100 grams of Vaseline, I'll have 20 grams of the pumice. Melt them together in a double boiler, keep stirring while it cools down, even put it in some cooler water or icy water or snow or something to help speed up the cooling down. And keep stirring it while you're doing that. You don't want the pumice to settle out. So in making this bowl, I used this after the first coat of Tried and True original finish. While it's still wet, just put it on, rubbed it in well. I put a thin coat of this on and I go all over it till it's dry, using first just the one little piece of paper towel and then fresher pieces of paper towel until it's all wiped off, that it's clear. At that point, I put on a second coat of Tried and True, rub it well in, burnish it with shavings, buff it with a paper towel, and put it aside for 24 hours. Then you have the choice of whether you stop there or continue buffing through the buffing process we've just gone through. So the products, the tried and true, and the all food safe stuff. None of it is toxic. None of it's going to hurt your skin. There we go. And so I've been looking for quite a few years, developing finishing, because I wanted finishing to be a simple, pleasant thing. And having developed it, and the fact that wood turning has been such a wonderful hobby to me, I want to give back a little bit, so I'm giving back all the information I have about finishing now to all you other wood turners out there. Or furniture makers, it would be the same thing, you just have to use a little more elbow grease. But there it is. I hope you found it interesting. Okay, that's it from me. Have a great day. Go out there and finish something. Finishing is not a problem anymore.